It's me again. Take 2.5 because I was doing it a while ago. And the first time I forgot to set the screen recorder. The second time I forgot to start the camera. So if you watched my other video, the 3x3 black and white picture, you notice the lines on my glasses. That's because of the blinds in front of me. Can't do anything about it. Sorry about that. So yes, I have that. Also, you'll notice my mechanical zoom because I'm blind. I have to get close to it to see things sometimes. I can zoom in on the screen, but then you just see more stuff to work on that you don't need to work on. So this is a great big picture. I took a picture with my phone. I've already got it imported. I've changed it to the 600 dpi and the sizes that the size that the customer wants, a 13.5 by a 19 and 5/8. It's in a box surrounded by pink tissue. So I didn't even have to take it out of the box to take the picture. So I need to, first and foremost, get rid of the pink tissue. So let's just select all the shades we have in the pink. Let's take that one out. You know what? Let's do that over. That didn't work so well. Let's try this again. So we're good here. Okay. Okay. So that'll take care of most of it for us. We take time for it to select. And then we will run a hue saturation layer and just white it out. Now you notice it worked in the picture here, so I'll have to go into the layer mask and fix that. That's not too much of a problem. First and foremost, I need to get this changed over to, I believe it needs to be on the white. We'll find out, won't we? Yes, it needs to be in the white. So I'll just do this just so that we can get rid of all this extra stuff. I've been doing this all day today, so I'm starting to see tracers like I've been drinking Mad Dog 2020. Now we need to change this to black so that it's wiping it out and not adding it in. And let's go ahead and let's increase it. Well, the size is already up. Let's increase the hardness on this. So, okay. So there we go. If we increase the hardness, when I get around here close to the edges, it won't fuzz out over the edges. And so get this. So if you have any experience with Photoshop, you're probably going to stop at some point and ask yourself, why'd you do that? Why'd you do this? It's just the way I've taught myself to do it over the last 3 years. I've learned a lot from Phlearn, like Photoshop Learn, Phlearn, Phlearn on YouTube. Aaron Nace, he really knows a lot. He's an expert on Photoshop. I'm not an expert at Photoshop. And Unmesh over at Piximperfect, P-I-X Imperfect on YouTube. He's an expert at Photoshop. Those two guys have taught me a lot. Some of what I do, I just taught myself just from doing it for 3 years. There's probably better ways to do pretty much anything I'm doing. If there are, I may learn them, may not. As long as I'm getting paid for doing this, I'm going to consider it right. Consider that I'm doing it right. And but yeah, you go to those two if you're interested in Photoshop. Go to those two guys. Those guys are experts. I consider myself a photo repair technician. I do not consider myself an artist at all. I know artists. I have friends that are artists. I know what it takes to be an artist. I am not an artist. I don't have that kind of talent. At least not with this. And not with Photoshop, I'll put it that way. So in other words, if something was wrong here, I probably wouldn't be able to redraw it. there are people that can. My watch is interfering with my tablet. That's strange. I've never had that happen before. There are people that can go in and can redraw and create things that are missing. I don't have that ability. I have to recreate it using something else. So I may source something from another picture, like a shoe, or even an eye or a finger or something. But if I have to, if it has to be redrawn, then I'm probably not the one for you, because I'm not an artist. I'm a professional. I'm a photo repair professional. I get paid to do this. That technically makes me a professional. I am halfway decent at it. I've got some jobs that I've done that were extremely difficult. And one day I'll put my my little portfolio video up on YouTube for people to see. And then you can be able to see if you can others can judge whether I'm any good or not. I think I'm pretty good. Not the best in town. I've seen some other people's work, but I've seen some other people's work in town that was total crap. I know, because I had to fix it. I had customers come to me and they just couldn't believe what the other guy did. Other guy, not the other guy. There's several here in town. But they just couldn't believe it, and they gave it to me, and I fixed it and did it right. But there are those in town that are pretty good. I would put myself up against them, and would be happy to lose to them, because they're good guys. They're really talented. The spot healing brush that I'm using here is my primary tool. It actually performs a lot like the clone stamp tool, this one here, in that if you do a large enough area, it actually goes somewhere else and copies and brings it over and imports it. And so sometimes if you're working on a piece, first time I did this one, this is the second time I've done this one because I screwed up the recording, and it's an easy repair job, so doing it again is not a big deal. First time I did this, I was trying to fix this portion of damage, and it would never fix it because it kept importing it from other parts on the line. So I had to do the line in sections, and this time it's doing it just fine. And so it's just kind of strange how it works sometimes and doesn't work sometimes. And there we go. Okay, now we can. And also, it's not a brush, so technically the direction that you use when you use the spot healing brush tool, it's a brush, but it's not really it's not like a paintbrush. It's not a textured brush that you're using. Theoretically, it's not supposed to matter what direction you move when you use it, but I found that sometimes it can. For some reason, it understands if you're using it to make a stroke, it acts appropriately, and it's just amazing to me how they program this to work. And yeah, see, I got to get that out a little bit. All right, let's burn this a little bit right here. And burn that a little bit more. Use the burn tool to darken that area. See how it's lighter, and so use the burn tool to darken that, because the spot healing brush isn't always going to. Sometimes it'll actually do that for you, but I don't rely on it to do that if I have to change the shade of something dramatically. The spot healing brush, well, it's not what it's designed for. So let's go down, and yeah, so this is an easy repair job. This picture is if I'm not mistaken, from the late 1800s. It may be a early 1900s reproduction of an 1800s picture, but the couple in here were born around the 1840s, I think the customer said. Oh, hey, that worked pretty good this time. Last time I had to use the clone stamp tool. This time the spot healing brush did it. I think he said, if I understood right, that the gentleman in the picture was born in the 1850s, which would put him in his 40s at the turn of the century, the turn of the 20th century. So this picture, he doesn't, he might be in his 40s, might be in his 50s. So early 1900s, late 1800s for this picture. And it's in phenomenal condition for a picture that old. I had one the other day. I did not do a video of the repair. It came in, and it was from 1917, and it was cracked and broken and bent, and it was in some pretty bad shape before I ever got it. And just the act of moving it around, just getting it home and taking a picture of it on the countertop did some more damage to it. And the customer knew that was going to happen when she gave it to me, so it's not like I'm destroying the picture and giving it back to her. But these things get so fragile that, just quite honestly, almost looking at them can damage them. Every time you move one of these, there's a little bit of damage done to it, and it's almost impossible to not have happen. Now, this client gave it to me gave the picture to me in a box, and I don't know why I said box like that, but that's how it came out. And that was ideal. I didn't even have to touch the picture to take a picture of it. I just had to move the tissue paper out of the way, that pink tissue paper that I had to get rid of a while ago at the beginning. And so the photo is going to be in an almost 100% identical condition when he gets it back. And that was such a great idea that I'm actually going to go try to find some picture frame boxes that I can use to transport these pictures. This is not going to work again. It didn't work last time. So, all right, clone stamp tool. I had to do this last time. I had to reconstruct this side of the face a little bit. There we go. And then come in and touch it up with the, let's see what that looks like. Yeah, that earlobe is angled like that, so okay. And then come in here and touch it up with the spot healing tool. Spot healing brush tool, I think is the actual name of it. All right, I gotta fix this up a little bit here. There we go. Couldn't get that fixed. So reconstruct that jawline a little bit. I had to do that last time, so I knew that was coming. And all I'm doing on this one is I'm just going to repair it up to the edges on the video, and then when the video's over, I'll go do the edge repair, because that's not gonna be anything special. Just a lot of clone stamp like this to fill it in, which I could use for this, I'm sure, but with the shading from darker to lighter, it's kind of tricky to use the clone stamp sometimes, because if you don't get close enough, then your shading is not, when you do the clone stamp, the shade isn't going to be the right, isn't going to match, and then you have to try to redo it or darken it or something. And the Photoshop 2024 and the Asus Laptop 2020 are getting to where they don't like each other very much. It's getting to where it takes longer and longer to do stuff, because they're making the program just so convoluted, and I don't want to say bloated, because it works. If it was bloated, it wouldn't be working, and it does work. But the I don't know if you can hear the fan on the laptop is going, just because it's pushing this little laptop. And I bumped the memory up from from 4 to 20 gigs right after I bought it, because it just wasn't doing well with Photoshop at the time. And I think in a year or so, Photoshop is just going to get to the point where this little laptop won't run it. Yeah, there we go. You got to change the tool that you're going to use, Clay. There we go. It's actually working a little better this time through. Last time it didn't work quite as well. Yep, it's just the spot healing brush just sometimes doesn't want to do it. There we go. That worked well. Yeah, I've found when you have seams and lines, the clone stamp tool is pretty good for it. This texture here is a little not fuzzy, it's kind of glaring to me, so I don't even consider it damage, but it's just something that I don't like the way it looks in the photo, so I'm gonna get rid of it and see if this thing will take this line out. There we go. Now it's working. I enjoy doing this. It helps pay the bills. It doesn't pay the bills by itself. I wish I could have enough work of this I talk real good, don't I? I wish I had enough of this work just to do this full time. It would be ultimately cool to do it, and I think I would learn a lot if I had this full time. I only have a couple to do today and this week. I'll reshape that a little bit. There we go. Get rid of these. And then after I've finished this portion and finished the video, I'll come back with it. I like to say I come back with it with fresh eyes like an hour later, because I get to where all I see is black and white or sepia and white, and I'll look at something and I won't see a line that's there, or I'll see a line that's not there because my eyes just get strained. And so I'll come back with fresh eyes here in a minute. But I'm almost done with the video. Like I said, the rest of this is just going to be touching up the edge, and there's absolutely nothing exciting about that. Not that this has been edge of your seat thrills, but keeping the original color tone. I was going to do it black and white, but it's not a black and white photo, it's sepia. Photoshop doesn't like sepia. Printers don't like sepia, and so I'm glad I don't have to print this one. This one's too big for my printer, so the boss is going to print this one at the main office in the valley. But here you go. Here's the before with the pink tissue paper, and the after. I think it looks pretty good. I just need to clean up the edges a little bit, and it'll be can't talk. It'll be ready to send, and then we'll print it and print 2 copies for the customer and go from there. I think it looks awesome. Bye.